What's going on? How's it going?
We're doing good.
I see you. Yeah.
All right, good afternoon. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to jump right in. For those of you who have not been paying attention, our St. Patrick's Day Parade is coming up this Saturday. It is Parade Day in Albany, and we're excited to once again host not one but two parades. The North Albany Parade will begin at 11 a.m. That's a half hour earlier than last year, so 11 a.m. on the dot. We will be marching from the North Albany American Legion Post on North 1st Street. And then after that, the 73rd Annual St. Patrick's Day Parade will begin at 2 p.m. as always, but we're going to start in a little bit of a different location. That parade is going to be starting at the corner of Central and Lexington. That's Central and Lexington, and it'll continue east on Central Avenue, onto Washington Avenue, past City Hall, and down State Street. We will turn onto State Street, and the parade will end at the M&T Bank. M&T Bank is, again, proudly helping to sponsor the parade, and we're grateful for their contribution. We are a proud co-sponsor of this event, and we work closely with the parade committee to ensure that we can make it a family-friendly occasion. With that, I want to give a shout out to Pete McCoy and the entire parade committee for their hard work over the last several months. This is an all-volunteer effort, and this parade would not happen without the organizations that sponsor it, from not just the city of Albany, but from all over the region. It also takes a lot of hard work on the part of city employees who have a hand in planning the event and preparing for it, and in making sure that we have everything in place to have a safe and family-friendly environment. And so with that, I'd like to welcome our Commissioner, Sergio Panunzio, from our Department of General Services, and he's going to talk about the preparations that are underway for the parade.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody. As always, the weather's going to hold up, hopefully. We're going to have a great weather, great parade, a good time. We ask everyone to be good neighbors, mind the steps and the stools. If you're going to sleep on the steps and stools along the parade route, we ask you to pick up your garbage and put it to a nearby garbage can. There's going to be additional garbage can placed during the parade route, and enjoy the day. We're prepping up today and working our way right through the parade at 7 o'clock in the morning. We'll start sweeping the streets and getting ready. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, appreciate all of the hard work of getting barricades up and making sure that the parade route is clean. We ask people to help keep it that way. We've seen a huge turnaround in the last several years with respect to this parade, and the fact that folks are treating the city with a great deal more respect than what we have seen in the past. I'll leave it at that. Now, to ensure how we're to talk about how we're ensuring that it remains family friendly, I'm going to ask Chief Gregory, our fire chief, as well as Chief Hawkins, to say a few words about public safety in the event.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. We all know that Parade Day in Albany is a festive and exciting day. We ask that everyone celebrate safely and responsibly before, during, and after the parade. We know there'll be large crowds along the parade route and into downtown, as well as additional vehicle traffic when the parade ends. So please be a little extra cautious for pedestrians. As we always say, safety is no accident. The Albany Fire Department will be fully staffed all day and all night to respond to and assist with any medical emergencies or any safety concerns that might occur. So thank you, and I'll turn it over to Chief Hawkins.
Thank you, Chief Gregory. And the big thing with us in the police department is the road closures. It's a compacted route that we'll have this year, so I'm advising anyone coming to the parade, arrive early, find parking, be patient, follow the any of the instructions that are given by officers. We'll have officers at all of the major intersections along the parade route. Open containers of alcohol are prohibited. Anyone found in possession of those may be cited. And otherwise, we're wishing everyone a safe and happy parade. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. That's all that we have on the parade. Are there any questions on the parade before we move on?
Yeah, just for Chief Hawkins, is there any increase in security just in fact, what happened after the Super Bowl parade in Kansas City that people are nervous about. Some people may be nervous about going to parades and big crowds like this in open areas. Do we have any increased security for that?
Yes, but we also advise everyone if they see something to say something. You know, a lot of when we address a lot of these things at some of these major events is because somebody saw something and they told about it. So we're advising everyone we'll have officers at all of the major intersections. They'll be available. Let us know. But we'll also have a lot of things going on behind the scenes with some of our special operations units. And we also have contacts with law enforcement agencies at federal, state, and other locals helping us out as well.
Thanks, Chief. Any other questions on the parade?
I guess I just saw you share Jimmy Fallon's Kids and Eggs celebration. And welcome back to the area to talk about stuff like that. I might be wrong, but I thought Kids and Eggs was done away with because that got out of hand.
Well, the original Kegs and Eggs always occurred on parade day. So it was a big wind up and warm up to parade day, and it did get out of control. We do continue to see students gather, whether it's for Halloween, St. Patrick's Day, and various other events in the student section. But thanks to the hard work of the Albany Police Department and the cooperation that we have and the coordination that we have with the University at Albany, we've been able to prevent those from becoming something that spirals out of control to the point where there was a significant amount of property damage and other issues that had occurred with that event. So again, the police were well aware of the situation. They were able to maintain the peace, keep things under control. We always urge students to make sure that they keep themselves safe, avoid large gatherings where, there is the opportunity for there to be issues with crowds, large crowds, but we didn't see that happen with that event. So I think that there are still students who refer to it as Kegs and Eggs because it's such a catchy phrase, but we've seen a huge decrease in the challenges that we see with that. And again, I want to thank the University of Albany and the coordination that we have with the police department when these types of events spike up. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Hawkins because we're also here to do a crime briefing and provide our regular update as well as to talk about some initiatives that the chief has undertaken. So. Oh yeah, we can come on this way.
So good afternoon. So we'll talk about our regular crime update for this year. I believe this is the first one that we've had this year. And just want to outline that, first of all, right now in all of our major categories, we're seeing some substantial decreases from what we saw last year. A particular note is the fact that so far, first 2.5 months of this year, our total Part 1 crimes, and those are our violent crimes and our property crimes combined, are down 25%. We're seeing other property crimes that are seeing some substantial decreases as well. And then we have some of our violent crimes, and our gun arrests are up, shooting victims are down just slightly. But one area that has really caused us a lot of concern is obviously that number we see in red there, our homicides, our shooting incidents. And that's why we have these trusted community partners that are here with us today. Because what we found is that when we started taking a deeper dive into what is happening, first of all of our major crimes are down substantially. We're seeing some significant progress in just about all of our major categories, but we're seeing this one category where we're seeing this substantial increase. So the question is why? When we look at what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years, our shooting incidents are dropping dramatically. Our violent crimes are dropping. So you would expect to see a corresponding drop in homicides, but it hasn't happened. And so that's why I've got some community partners here who are trusted folks in our community to help us to understand what's happening with these homicides, and more importantly, what can be done to address it. And here's a couple of telling statistics here. 5 homicides this year. All 5 of these homicides stem from interpersonal disputes. These are people who know each other. Every single one of them. And then 4 out of the 5 homicides involved incidents that originated in private spaces, in homes, in communities, in other community spaces, wherever it may be, but these are private spaces where these things are happening. These homicides are occurring in places that are outside of the reach of our officers, outside of the reach of the police department, but not outside of the reach of our trusted community partners that we have that have been doing work for many, many years in this community to address these things. And so I want to introduce these community members, have them come up and talk about what their respective organizations are doing to help us to address the fact that these homicides that we're seeing are happening in spaces that are outside of the reach of the police department, but they can help us get some sort of reach and some sort of influence in these places to help us to address this issue of homicides. And we'll start off first with the Albany Community Land Trust Gun Violence Prevention Organization. The board president is Aprecia Cavey, and I want to have her come up and introduce the rest of your members and also what you all are doing to address some of these things we're seeing.
Thank you, Chief. Hello and good afternoon. My name is Aprecia Cavey. I'm the chairperson for the Albany Community Land Trust, an organization that has served Albany for more than 30 years. Today, I would like to introduce my staff for the Gun Violence Prevention Program, which is a part of the Land Trust. The Land Trust is an organization that focuses on equity, especially when it comes to housing. But today we're here to talk about how we can prevent crime. Thank you to Ms. Valerie Alexander Mosley for being here. She's the manager of our project and program. Dr. Janice Houston Little, who is our clinical specialist on this project, and Pastor Michael Williams, who is a great coordinator and always in the community and neighborhood and has his finger on the pulse. And Ms. Susan, I apologize. So we have our team here today with ACLT, and we're here today to let people know there is a gap. The gap needs to be filled, and we understand that by partnering with our municipalities, the city of Albany, in every facet, we're able to expand our reach. Even though the city says they're able to expand our reach with us, the partnership is very important. If we don't have that partnership, we don't have that understanding. Right now, we work with a lot of people who are interested in beautifying their neighborhood, interested in creating more equity in their neighborhood, interested in having opportunities to be understood and amplify their voice. When we have those type of opportunities, that's when those isolated spaces become different. When you have enriching opportunities for neighborhoods, that becomes a learning moment for the people involved, and it helps to prevent or reduce situations in a closed space. If they have enrichment, if they have resources, if they have wraparound services and nonprofits are working together and collaborating to be able to create a larger reach, that's going to be the first steps in addressing what is going on here, especially these percentages. We can't get these percentages down without working with each other. And sometimes it's a hard fix because we have in our mind the way that we want to do it. But if we're doing something together, we won't get there together if we don't do it together. So I'm very happy today to have my staff here. I'm very happy to be the chairperson for the Albany Community Land Trust. And we're happy to serve our city of Albany, our community. We love it here, and we wouldn't choose anywhere else to be. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Very well said, Freeman. And Frank said something very important when she talked about how these disputes that are in these private spaces and how they're just kind of rapidly devolving into violence. It's important that we understand that what we're seeing in our homicides, these aren't drive-by shootings. These aren't violent crimes or robberies that have gone bad. These aren't gang-related incidents. These are just like Kareem said, these are things that are happening interpersonally with folks, and we're just delighted to have the Albany Community Land Trust as partners in the city to help us to really get to the bottom of what's happening in these private spaces so that these numbers go down. And so next, we have the president of the Albany chapter of the NAACP, Deborah Brown, and just delighted to have Deborah as a partner here as well. Deborah and I have had many conversations. A lot of the violence that we're seeing in our community, a lot of the homicides that we're seeing, our victims are disproportionately young men of color. And the NAACP has been a solid partner with us in addressing inequities and disproportionate impacts, but as well as talking about what can we do to address the fact that so many of our young men of color are being disproportionately impacted with this. And so, Ms. Brown, President of the Albany NAACP,
It's a pleasure for me to be here today. I think as the chief talked about, there's a number of things. We know the statistics that speak to our young people ending up in the criminal justice system. But at the NAACP, we talk about ways for students, how they see themselves will have a major impact on how they are seen in the community, how they present themselves in the community, the respect they want and garner from the community. So we have a youth council that meet on a monthly basis. We work with youth from the ages of 11 to 17. We work on leadership development. And so those young people talk about how they show up in the community. They get a chance to meet with other leaders. They get an opportunity to talk about their educational aspirations. They get a chance to be involved in community activities. We also have a partnership with the Albany City School District and a community organization, P3, People's Perception Project, where we work with the global studies teachers and the seniors at Albany High on civic engagement, what that looks like in your community, for students to talk about and create a community organization that they believe will address a problem in their area. I'm in the community from a student's perspective. What do I think needs to be changed? What do I think needs to be addressed where I live? And so that was one of the other areas. We're also working with and establishing our ACTSO program, Academic, Cultural, Technological, Scientific Olympics. It's called Olympics of the Minds, where students compete in grades 9 to 12 and get an opportunity to compete nationally with the NAACP convention in like 32 different areas in business, culinary, and technological endeavors. Again, for the students to be able to access their own skills, to be able to showcase their skills, and for students to know that there's more involvement, more creativity, more opportunity and access for them within their communities. Thank you.
thank you. Well said.
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
thanks.
Thank you.
Again, another example of how putting a cop on every corner won't necessarily address what we're seeing here. These are some deep-seated issues that our community partners have been working for a long time on, and they're continuing to put up the good fight in addressing some of those. About 3 years ago or so, I was approached by Dr. Brenda Robinson, the president of the Black Nurses Coalition in Albany, concerned about the trauma that some of the violence was causing to both victims and their families in our community. And Dr. Robinson and I had this conversation back then, and we talked about how we were seeing victims who were turning into suspects. We were seeing victims and their siblings and their friends were turning into suspects later. It was contributing to this cycle of violence that we were seeing. We were putting in a lot of work. We were taking guns off the streets. We were arresting bad people off the streets. But because of this unresolved trauma that we were seeing, we were just seeing this continuous cycle. So Dr. Robinson and I and the Albany Police Department have established a partnership to address that piece of it. And again, this is another example of we don't need a cop on every corner to address what we're seeing. We have to address these underlying issues if we're going to take these numbers from 5 to 0. And so I want to bring Dr. Robinson up to talk about this.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Dr. Brenda Robinson. I'm CEO of the Black Nurses Coalition, and it's just a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have a partnership with the Albany Police Department, and it's a pleasure to be a part of all the other workers in the community. The Black Nurses Coalition focuses on eliminating healthcare disparities. Health equity is needed. We know racism in healthcare is real. Partnering with APD solidifies the fact that we know that most of the folks who, or a large majority of the folks who interact with law enforcement are folks who look like me. Along with that, we can't separate healthcare, whether it's medical or mental health, from the violence that we see each and every day. So this particular partnership is awesome because we definitely can see positive health outcomes. When you have APD interacting in the community and they have a direct referral to the Black Nurses Coalition, that means that they have access to primary care. That means they have access to mental health. That means that they have access to a strong partner. They have access to cultural competent engagement. They have access to folks who are from the community. I'm born and raised right here. I live in the community. I love this community. And I certainly focus on health equity and making things better for this community and each individual in it. So again, we can't separate health from violence. And I think when people are healthier, they feel better and they do better, right? And I think showing these partnerships, each and every person here, along with APD, I think it creates more trust in the community. And I think we can move forward on a better plan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc. And Bishop Comethier has been involved with Pastors on Patrol since its inception. You know, it's a program we're very, very proud of. It's another program that allows us to have to build bridges in our community with, especially in some of our challenged communities. And we're just starting a new pilot program with our Pastors on Patrol. We know anecdotally that Pastors on Patrol works. You know, people tell us they enjoy seeing our officers with our faith-based members of our community. We know that anecdotally, but we're about to show it empirically. You know, we're about to start a pilot program in a challenged area in our city with our Pastors on Patrol, and we're going to devote some resources, some assistance to help Pastors on Patrol in that area. We're going to see what happened with the conditions were before we were there. We're going to see what happens after a 6 or 7 month period in that area to show people that what we've been saying is more than just talk. You know, this is something that works. So Bishop Comethier, why don't you come up and talk about that program?
Good afternoon. We're happy to be here on behalf of Pastors on Patrol, which is a ground level organization with community and spiritually based spiritual leaders, pastors, imams, priests, rabbis. And so we go out with the beat officers and we're able to engage with the community. We're able to engage with business owners. We go inside of stores, bars, wherever to ensure the safety and the quality of life in that community. We are now engaging in the Madison Avenue, Grand Street area where we're looking to have rehabilitation, so to speak, of that area so people will feel safe when restaurants open, when businesses open, they can be reassured of safety. And that's what we're trying to do, and to bring the quality of life in that Madison and Grand Street area. And so this is what we are doing, and this is what we're looking forward to in partnership with the APD, which I'm happy to be a part of. And so this is where we are. We are on the ground level, engaging with young people. Let these young men know who they are, what their history is. And once you know who you are, you'll be able to pull your pants up. You'll be able to have knowledge of self. And that's what we're trying to instill in these young men and the older men too. But we want quality of life to go forth in the south end of Albany. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop. And so that concludes this piece of it. I just want to say to all of our partners here, I'm just eternally grateful to all that you all done, in this community, all that you're doing to help us to address these things in our community. And it shows, we have got to address the root causes of what we're seeing if we want to bring these numbers down. Our officers are doing a great job of taking guns off the streets. We're arresting people. Our numbers for all of our major incidents are going down, but people tell us that they don't care so much about these numbers. What they care about is what our trusted partners are talking about. What are we going to do about the perception of crime, the fear of crime, and about the interpersonal nature of some of the things that we're seeing. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. And I want to echo the chief's thanks for our partners. We truly can't do it alone. And, when we do talk about gun violence, we are talking about trauma. And, when we see that young people who've been exposed to trauma years later, they have, hypervigilance, anxiety, all kinds of issues that can result in further violence, a further struggle with an ability to de-escalate. And so this is a healthcare issue for those who are victims of and who witness violence in our city. And the work of everyone who is here today and the broader organizations that they represent is critically important. It's an all hands on deck. And so we're really grateful for the work that you've done. I do want to note there was an error in one of the slides. It was showing that it was 2022 versus 2023. The numbers were actually 23 versus 24. So for the media, we'll make sure that you have a corrected version of that if you need to use the graphics for anything. Apologize for that. The numbers were correct, but the years in the heading were incorrect. So I just want to note that. We're pivoting to talking about why we're here and to talk about the dispatch center. But if there are any questions on our crime statistics or the partnerships that we just talked about, I'd like to take those now, and then we're going to pivot to showing you the much promised and anticipated 911 dispatch center. Yep.
For the chief.
Yes.
Chief, in the latest homicide, you guys said you had identified a person of interest. Is there any update on that case and whether that person has been charged or any movement on that case?
Not charged, but we know who the person is. It's just a matter of picking that person up. So all of our homicides this year, they've either been closed or we know who the people are, and we're just waiting for the appropriate process to play out so that we can pick them up. Yes.
And on the partnerships you guys are pushing forward that I assume will lay out over the next, especially in the summer, how did you sort of decide what partnerships to take part in and what areas to focus on?
So this is just a small sample of who we're working with in the city. We're working with a lot of different organizations. These are some ones that I work with maybe more than others. But there's a wide range of different organizations, individuals. And so I don't want to put the perception out there that this is it, that these are the only people out working, in our city to address some of the interpersonal nature and the root causes of what's happening. Because there's a ton more people that are out doing this. But these are some folks that I've been working with. We've been most recently doing some things. And so I just thought that it would be a good idea to talk about some of our recent initiatives. And in terms of the area, we've with Pastors on Patrol, it's a program. One thing that Bishop Comethier did not say is that we want to expand that program. We want to move it out to other areas of the city. The bishop has told me, and our officers have said that wherever they go in the city, people enjoy seeing the officers working with our faith-based partners. But what we wanted to do, though, we wanted to take a small sample area and get some data so that we can show empirically, instead of just anecdotally, that this program works. Take an area that's has some challenges. We know that there's been a lot of activity, see what's happened on average for the last 3 years in that area, and then let's see what happens after 6 or 7 months of us devoting some resources with our pastors on patrol in that area, and see the difference. I anticipate that we're going to see some significant decreases in activity in those areas, and so with that would give confidence to our community that these programs that we talk about and that people are very happy to see that these programs actually work. So that was the reason we did that. So this is just a small sample size. We anticipate picking some different areas if necessary to continue with this. But
All right. Thank you all. So the third part, and we'll give you all the opportunity to move your cameras out for the ribbon cutting. Much news and much coverage was spent in 20, 21, 22 about the shortage of 911 dispatchers that the city had and the challenges that we had in attracting and retaining 911 dispatchers. And so we undertook an effort to really understand what was driving the decisions of dispatchers to leave the city. And we also took a look at what we could do to better retain individuals from the very beginning. And so in addition to the physical changes that you're going to see out here, we did start operational changes. We focused on training. We focused on hiring entire classes so that there would be a group of dispatchers that would be trained together, a number of initiatives that have resulted in us seeing an improvement. And one of the constant refrains that we heard was that the space across the street was too confined. It wasn't conducive to a 21st century environment for 911 dispatch. And so that's why I announced in my 2023 State of the City that we were going to undertake a project to incorporate state-of-the-art technology as well as the resources seen in 911 dispatcher centers across the nation, while continuing to ensure that we could provide dispatch services for our residents and our visitors. So I'm proud that we are standing here today in a newly open space. And now that the new 911 emergency dispatch center is open, the police department is going to begin converting to some new technology. And we're very excited about the continued evolution of our 911 dispatch services. And so to speak more about the project and what it means to the police department and to our residents and why our residents and visitors should care, I'm going to turn it back over to the chief and to Deputy Chief Betchuelo to say a few words.
all right, thank you, Mayor. And yeah, we're very excited about this. We've got our fire chief here, and we're going to have them come and talk about how this operation will benefit fire services as well. But we're very excited about this. It's first of all, this is going to enhance our capabilities of making this community safer. We're going to be able to more effectively and efficiently take calls for service and get help to people when they need it. So before I get to Deputy Chief Betchuelo, I want Fire Chief Gregory to just say a few words about what this means to fire operations, because this is a part of they dispatch for both police and fire.
Thank you, Chief Hawkins. From the fire department perspective, and for everyone, this is an exciting day for our communications specialists, our firefighters, police officers, and most importantly, the residents of the city of Albany. The value of having a facility of this quality cannot be understated. This modern, state-of-the-art technology will bring our level of public safety and public service to an even higher level. Our communications specialists will now have the best tools they need to dispatch resources to emergency calls throughout the city. So we're very proud to be a part of this, and we know this is going to be a great, effective tool for all. So thank you.
Thanks, Chief. And our program manager for this was Deputy Chief Anthony Betchuelo, and he, along with all of the other things that we throw at him, overseeing the administrative side of the police department, he took this project on, and he brought it to life. And it's not just this, but there's some other infrastructure changes that have been made in the police department that Deputy Chief Patuello has been intimately involved in and responsible for bringing to fruition. So I've got Deputy Chief Patuello and Christine Coluccio also to talk a little bit about what this center is and what it means.
All right, thank you, Chief. I'm very excited to introduce our new 911 Communication Center. This has been about 16 months in the making to complete this phase of our project. This is a massive upgrade from our former location between security enhancements, new open floor plan design, which is best practice and an industry standard to create improved communications among the employees, updated amenities for our staff, and overall larger space to work within. This will actually increase operational efficiency so that we can better serve the needs of the public. It also serves as a much needed boost to morale for our hardworking and dedicated communication dispatchers, and will no doubt assist our recruitment efforts for future employees. Let's take this time and opportunity to recognize all of our contractors who I've had the pleasure to work with while coordinating this project. Duncan Cahill Construction, Clune Electric, Eckert Mechanical, ABS Solutions, Pittsfield Communications, Center for Security and Accent Furniture, and also a very special thanks and unwavering support from Mayor Kathy Sheehan, Chief Eric Hawkins, Budget Director Gideon Grande, Corporation Counsel Marisa Franchini, members of the Common Council, Commander Dan Meehan, Director of our Communications Division, Christine Coluccio, and the parent union of our communications staff at Council 82. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, great job, Deputy Chief Patuello, in bringing this to life. You did a great job with this. And our communications director, Christine Coluccio, is here also. And Christine, could you talk just briefly about what's different here compared to what we had over there?
Over here, we have an open floor plan where across the street, we were in 3 different rooms. So it makes it more efficient when we're trying to get resources to different parts of the city. We also have bigger screens, newer computers, and our walls have TVs on them now that have more information to help us when crimes are being committed and that type of stuff.
All right, thank you. All right, very excited about this. Thank you to everybody that was involved in this. Turn it over to the mayor.
Thanks. Chief, I just want to thank you for your leadership, and Deputy Chief Patuello. I mean, this was a huge undertaking, and we were able to get it done on time and on budget. And there is more to come, but this is a significant investment. We have a ribbon that we're going to cut, and we're excited to unveil this. So we're happy to answer questions, and then we'll give you guys time to go out and get the money shot.
Mayor, I know a couple of years back, due to staffing issues, the county 911 was answering a lot of your calls. Have you guys been able to drive those numbers down, and will this new center help in any way in tracking that?
Yeah. But I do want to say, that was always the case. So we do have, calls that roll over and vice versa. We're really fortunate that in this region, there's such cooperation among law enforcement and really seamless between the state or the city and the county. So I want to thank them for that.
Yes, and to answer your question, we have not had those issues of late. So we've done a tremendous job. I say the leadership of the division has done a tremendous job at making sure that we keep that in-house from here on out.
And Mayor, one last question. I may have missed it if I stepped out. Can you tell us anything about what you guys have planned for the building across the street right now?
Sure. So the 170 Henry Johnson Boulevard location is going to be the new home for our Special Operations and Traffic Safety Division. It's currently being renovated at the moment, as is the rest of headquarters. So we anticipate that to be open sometime later this spring, early summer.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you a moment to pivot out there and we'll cut the ribbon. Good job.
Good job.